how Hot Topic drives engagement and productivity with enhanced onboarding. Next on the RecTech podcast.
Welcome to RecTech, the podcast where recruiting and technology intersect. Each month, you'll hear from vendors shaping the recruiting world, along with recruiters who'll tell you how they use technology to hire talent. Now, here's your host, the mad scientist of online recruiting, Chris Russell.
It's time for another edition of RecTech, the only podcast that helps employers and recruiters connect with more candidates through technology-inspired conversations. This episode of RecTech is sponsored by our friends at HireTool, the recruiter's best friend. Here's what recruiter Susanna Fraser says about them. 6 out of 5 stars, HireTool exceeds expectations, and so does their team. Great for sourcing, finding contact information, pipelining, etc. Thank you for being my number one sourcing solution. HireTool's AI engine is a personal sourcing assistant that works for you 24/7. You get access to undiscovered profiles from open web, smart search with Boolean Builder Assistant, great Chrome extension, great customer support. Check them out at hiretool.com. It's HIRETUAL.com. A reminder, this show is now syndicated on the HR Podcasters Network. If you head over to hrpodcasters.com, you can find this show and discover 20 more that cover nearly every topic in HR and recruiting. And don't forget to check out my RecTech Live video training shows at rectechlive.com. All right, on to the show. Hot Topic has 425 employees at their corporate headquarters in Los Angeles, and with around 10,000 company-wide, depending on the season. They recently initiated a new onboarding experience at their corporate headquarters with the intent to ramp up speed and engagement so they could impact productivity and tenure. Johnny Sanchez is the head of recruiting at Hot Topic, a retailer based in Los Angeles, and he joins us now on the show. Hey, Johnny, welcome to RecTech.
Hey, Chris. Thank you.
It's good to have you here. I read the
likewise.
Read the case study on HR. I read the case study in HROS recently, and kind of wanted to bring that story to life. I thought it was kind of interesting to talk about. So I guess set the scene for us. Tell us what the onboarding process was like before you started the process, and kind of why you decided to make this happen.
Yes, it was very transactional here, and actually kind of non-existent. For those of you that are familiar with Hot Topic, we are the music and pop culture destination within the retail space. So we're very lively, a lot of energy, very loud. We're into loud music, we're into pop culture, into movies, and you get that sense when you go into stores. You get that sense when you walk into our office. But then the onboarding experience was anything but that. It was in a dark room, no music, no visuals. It was very transactional. You came in, you filled out new hire paperwork, you got a tour of the building, and then we walked you to your desk, and then you're on your own. So coming into the business, being involved in talent acquisition and going after and bringing great talent to the business was obviously a big concern for me in regards to how we're setting people up for success. And it was at that point I decided to take a stab at making it kind of match the brand and kind of the culture of the company, which was actually really good and really inclusive and really empowering. And so how do we set the stage for that? That's kind of where we started. Okay.
So what were sort of the initial processes? How'd you walk us through how you began this process overall?
Yeah, it was interesting. So it was top of mind for me as I onboarded a couple of new members of my team, and I was well aware of the fact that the actual onboarding process was pretty bad. The first day was really a bad experience, and so I was very hands-on and giving them a great onboarding experience to help them get ramped up. But it was top of mind. We were approaching the end of our fiscal year, and I thought it would be great to tackle this and to roll something out that's going to provide a better experience as we look to add a significant number of people to the organization in the coming fiscal year. And I was actually at Dreamforce. It was in November a couple of years ago. And the Trailblazer was kind of, the theme, and you walked into the expo floor, and it was designed like a state park. And so they gave you this map to kind of explore the park, and it was gamified, and there's a low-tech gamification. Go visit one of the booths, get a demo, you get a sticker, you mark off all the spots on your map, and they had swag booths there, and they were giving away free swag. So you complete your book, you can go and you can collect some free swag. And I was just blown away, like, hey, this is really cool. I was kind of motivated by this element of gamification, and so was everyone else, because they had 2 swag booths, and the line was, the 15-minute wait in each booth to get your free swag. So that means everyone waiting in that booth had gone through and demoed all of, Salesforce product that they were launching, and so it was highly effective on their end. And I thought, hey, that's a great concept. And I started thinking about new hires. When you start a job, it's a journey. It's a new journey. There's some uncertainty. You maybe don't know what your next few steps are going to be to get you ramped up and fully integrated in the business. So let's take that concept and apply it to the new hires journey. And so we were playing around with that idea, and then we thought about, okay, the hot topic journey. You're starting here, and we started to play around and think about pop culture and pop culture references. And within that, we thought of the hero's journey, and it's this kind of evolution, and it's tied to the pop culture kind of space, geekdom, fandom space around, hey, every hero, every superhero, they have this journey, and they have to go through this process before they can become a hero. And we thought, hey, that's pretty cool. Let's take that, and let's create these steps, that will help new hires onboard, acclimate, assimilate into the business, and get integrated and kind of fully ramped up. So that's kind of where we started, and that was the framework that we used to really build the hot topic journey, which is our gamified onboarding process.
Okay. So ultimately, you built this kind of roadmap guiding employees for their first 30 days, I guess. Can you kind of take us through along those milestones? What happens during that first 30 days?
Yeah. So again, taking the hero's journey, we thought about that, and we thought, okay, what's necessary? What do people need in order to really acclimate them? And then we actually took a step back, because we thought, hey, this is a great opportunity, because if we look at performance and we look at the trajectory of an employee, what's the really a way to really impact that? It's obviously throughout the employee lifespan, there's opportunities, to drive engagement, to boost productivity. But what better place than at the beginning? If you kind of tilt that productivity ramp up a little bit more and you shorten that runway, that could extend, the life of the employee. And in terms of productivity gains, it could be huge. So we started thinking about this from like a quantifiable standpoint as far as what the ROI would be. And then from there, we went to the drawing board around, okay, what sort of experiences do we need to have in order to ensure that they ramp up pretty quickly, both in terms of in the role and then within the company in terms of our culture and our environment. So we went to the drawing board, several whiteboarding sessions around, okay, what does this look like? Obviously, their first day, what do we do on their first day? And then how are we going to brand this too? Here, there's a lot of ownership at Hot Topic, a lot of autonomy. So we had full ownership here, and internally, we didn't have the resources or the bandwidth to rely on the marketing team in terms of like, hey, can you turn this around for us in 2 weeks? All these assets. And so we went out and got a graphic designer that worked with us, and we gave a lot of creative direction, and we kind of turned this out ourselves. But we settled on 9 steps within the first 30 days. So the first step is call to adventure, and that's your orientation day, essentially, where we built a deck around kind of introducing you to the brand, walking you through our history, introducing you to our executive team. And then we kind of spent some time with you, really showing you the building, showing you where everybody sits. We have a really wide open building, and so there's no clear kind of signs around who sits where, what department is where. And so we do that. So we take them, we have an in-house video studio. We take them in there and show them a recap of like our previous year in review. So it's really immersing them into the business. And then the next step is called Find Your Fellowship, where we pair them up with a sidekick. And so if you're on your hero's journey, we're going to give you a sidekick, and the sidekick is going to help you get acclimated. So they're going to be there as a resource to you, and they're going to help onboard you within your role in terms of partnering with you to show you the ropes, to show you where things are at, to walk you through training, and whatever systems or tools you're going to be using in your role, in partnership with your hiring manager. Next step is meet the Jedi Master, and when we pitched this to our CEO, he was 100% on board with it, which was really exciting. He had lunch with the Meet the Jedi Master, and really the Hot Topic journey in general, and I'll talk about that. You can talk about that later, but we threw this in there because we thought, hey, this would be great experience for new hires to sit with the CEO and have a chance to hear from him directly, what our mission is, what our vision, what our goals are. and then for him to be able to get some feedback from new hires entering the business. And he was all for it. So yeah, every new hire has lunch with our CEO. We do it in a small group setting. Again, we call the steps Meet the Jedi Master, and it's no more than 5 new hires that sit and have lunch with him. And it's been great. I'll sit and I'll be like a fly on the wall or something on my team, and we just collect data too, and kind of take notes. And there's just a lot of great feedback that we gain through that touch point that we never had too. On top of providing a really great experience with the new hires coming into the business, we get a lot of insight, from people coming on the outside coming in and having a chance to look at things from a fresh perspective. So it's great. Next step is cross the threshold. What we want to do is connect them to the end result, which is our stores. So we consider it, kind of crossing the threshold, going into the upside down to reference to Stranger Things, again, the pop culture tie-in. Stranger Things on Netflix. We're often disconnected. It's a mystery. We don't realize, what we do here, how it ends up there, and what the impact is. And so we have them spend time at our stores. So they spend a full day there within their first 2 weeks. And then they also spend a day with our customer care team. We have an on-site call center, so they spend 2 hours with them, shadowing calls and actually taking the call at the end of the 2 hours. Yep. And then next step is Explore New World, and this one is pretty popular. Their first Friday, they spend the entire day watching movies and snacks. Yeah. And so it sounds like it's just kind of a waste, but really it's not, because we are a destination for music and pop culture, and everyone in the business should really kind of have their finger on the pulse on what that is and what drives our business. And so we connect with our teams that are responsible for buying the merchandise that's sold in our stores to kind of understand what are big sellers for us, what's coming up that's pretty big, and let's educate everyone coming in, what those properties are, what those licenses are, whether it's a movie or a TV show or whatnot. And so the full day is lined up with movies and TV shows that are kind of relevant to our business at any given time.
Nice.
And then from there, we have a step called Visit the Forge. And what we did is we ended up breaking out benefits into a separate 2-hour meeting. And so we call it Visit the Forge. And so within that, we lump in some training around like our timekeeping system, around getting business cards, ordering business cards, getting your corporate kind of credit card if it's applicable, and talking through a lot of the perks and benefits. And so that usually happens the day after, or depending on scheduling, the week after your first day. And so within your first week, you're signing up for your benefits. And to take a step back right here, what we did is that we broke up these pieces because we wanted it to be digestible, because sometimes, and we realize this too, sometimes you front load the entire onboarding experience in your first day or your first 2 days. Yeah. And the retention of that is very low. And, the impact in terms of connecting you to the business and increasing your productivity and your ramp-up speed, it's not there. And so we broke this up in kind of digestible pieces. All right, 7th step is join the forces for good. We have a foundation there's a lot of philanthropy that we believe in, and that's kind of the foundation of our business. Hot Topic, we have a Hot Topic Foundation that's been around for almost 20 years, and we've given millions of dollars to nonprofits in partnership with nonprofits to bring music and the arts back to kids. That's been cut significantly here in the U.S. Due to budget cuts. So we've been able to partner with some really cool organizations, Little Kids Rock, the Grammy Foundation, and being able to get music back into schools and into kids' hands. And one of our other brands, Box Lunch, it's a newer brand that's been around 2 years. We have a partnership with Feeding America. And through that partnership, we've given over 15 million meals to people that are in need. And it's a great story. I mean, it's great to know that we're a part of a company that's doing this really amazing work. And it was something that, our employees weren't really educated on, the impact of the work that we do. And so we created an entire step and kind of experience where you're immersed in that. And it's an hour-long kind of session where you're learning about what we do and the part that you play in that. And then we reinforce, the fact that we give you 4 days a year to volunteer, and here's some opportunities and where, you can contribute and make that impact. 8th step is fill in the map. We don't have performance reviews here. There's a lot of freedom, again, and autonomy, and then we just focus on collaboration and results. So with that, sometimes the cadence in regards to regular communication, it can be off. And so we incorporated a step in the onboarding process around establish a regular cadence. And when you're communicating with your boss or your new manager, setting expectations, understanding goals and targets, and then what that cadence and kind of communication style is going to be. Mm-hmm. So that's probably the only step on their first kind of 30 days on this map where they're in the driver's seat and actually engaging. Obviously, their supervisor is aware that the step is on there, but we want them to kind of initiate and collaborate with their supervisor and making sure that happens. And the ninth and final step is the Master Your World. So it's more of a celebration. What we do is we get everyone together that's completed the journey. Once they've completed those previous 8 steps, we have kind of a party for them, a celebration. We pop champagne bottles. We have cake and ice cream, and a bunch of food, celebrating their achievement. And we call it a keeping ceremony. We give everybody a hoodie, a Hot Topic Journey hoodie, and we keep it on you. So we call everybody up, and during that time, it's a chance to connect everybody that's gone through the journey together. So it's great from a cross-functional kind of partnership perspective and getting people to build relationships across the business. Another chance for us to collect more feedback, and then obviously the recognition piece as well, and kind of completing this experience.
Nice. Well, I think a lot of businesses can learn from these examples, Johnny. Will any of this filter it down into the retail store level, you think, one day? Yeah, definitely. We're looking at it at the district manager level, which is kind of a leadership, kind of senior leadership level on the field and in our stores. We're thinking of ways and how we can scale this all the way down to the sales associate level. Obviously, it's a transient kind of population. There's a lot of turnover there. So that's a challenge, but at the same time, if it minimizes turnover, I mean, obviously there's a huge potential ROI there as well. So that's something that we're thinking about. Is how do we scale this even further, and what would that look like in terms of how we make the changes to make it fit that environment. Yeah. And so, what kind of results have you seen so far from the corporate-wide onboarding process?
Some really great results. Ultimately, what we wanted to do is we wanted to track. We wanted to collect some data, and so what we did leading up to launching the Hot Topic Journey, which is what we call this experience, we surveyed employees that were hired the previous 6 months. So basically, the last 6 months of the previous fiscal year, we surveyed them on the same exact data points, and so we had kind of a control group, and we had kind of a baseline of where everybody was at, their experience, and their sentiment towards the brand as well. We sent that same survey out to the new hires after we launched the Hot Topic Journey, and we send it out to them right when they complete their last step. And pretty much on every key data point, I mean, there was a positive increase and a positive impact. And the most impactful was, decrease in attrition within 1 year. So kind of this new hire failure rate was a 50% decrease. So that was amazing, and then huge success story there. Internal Net Promoter Score, we had an internal NPS of 38%, which was okay, but in terms of new hires, it jumped all the way to 68%. So that was just a huge increase, and it was directly tied to this experience they had from an onboarding perspective. We had an increase in qualified referrals, and through that, an increase in referrals hired. And then what we're looking to track and project, we're able to project, and obviously time will tell. We've been on this new onboarding kind of process for a little over a year, but we want to track kind of the impact to like employee lifetime value. And what does that mean? Employees that have a set lifetime with their company in terms of how long they're going to work there. Mm-hmm. How do we measure the productivity and the impact that they have for the business? It's pretty easy in say like in a sales organization to be able to calculate that. If the sales rep, the sales target of X amount per month, if you're able to ramp them up and get them to that target sooner, there's obviously very clear quantitative impact to revenue. But every employee has a tie to revenue in terms of the impact that they have to the business and how that ties back down to revenue and really bottom line revenue. And we think that this experience at scale over time, will be the same. We'll be able to measure it out, and we'll hopefully see people staying longer. And because of this quicker ramp up, there'll be more productivity throughout the lifespan of the employee.
Yeah, I think what you're really doing here at the end of the day, Johnny, is you're humanizing that whole employment process. I think you're making more connections for that employee in the first 30 days, and that really helps to tie them to the company, and I think make their overall experience better, and they're going to stay longer. It's a natural thing, right?
Right. Totally.
Awesome.
Totally.
Let's talk tech for a minute. From what I read on the case study, you did this in a very low tech way, right? Were there any tools or technologies used to kind of manifest this?
Yeah, again, it was really low tech. I mean, it was us on a whiteboard to really map this out and what it was going to look like and what that experience is going to be. From there, we put together a pitch deck, pitched it to our executive team. But prior to that, what I did is I went out and found a graphic designer. Being in the recruiting space, I've recruited and placed a number of really, really talented graphic designers that I've kept in touch with. And so I've reached out to one, and he helped me put together and create, these creative assets that made up, the hot topic journey and like the experience from a branding standpoint. So once we had that created, we had it printed. We printed out maps. It's on the thick. It's a bifold thick cardstock. We printed out stickers and we printed out these decals. In our office, all of our conference rooms have these glass kind of clear sliding doors, and so we printed out decals. Each step has a logo associated with it. So we had, or it's like an icon. We had those icons printed out really big. That way, new hires, as we're scheduled into these 9 steps in the first 30 days, they can very visually and easily, see where their next meeting is at. So we went into those details, but that cost us a few $100s, and it was again very low tech. And when somebody starts, we give them the map. We give them the swag bag, and the map is what they're going to rely on in partnership with, they're going to rely on the map in partnership with us, scheduling things on our calendar. And then we just used, from a survey standpoint, we're just using Google Forms. So it's, again, really, really low tech, and it's worked for us. And so, we might look at ways to kind of automate some of the steps just from a scheduling perspective, because that's what takes the most time. Mm-hmm. But it is working for us.
Yeah, it doesn't, to me, the lesson here is that it doesn't cost a lot of money to have a great onboarding experience, to plan it and implement it.
Exactly.
It's really all about your effort that you put into it as a company, I think. All right, just a quick shout out to our new sponsor here at RecTech, RoboRecruiter, making hiring more human. So RoboRecruiter was built for people who hire professionally by a team of staffing professionals who've achieved recruitment success before. They've built one of the largest chatbot platforms with proven conversational technologies across hundreds of clients. So check them out at roborecruiter.ai. Again, that's roborecruiter.ai. Now back to the show. Okay, Johnny, so as far as your HR tech stack goes, what are you using there for your ATS? And talk about any other tools that might be part of your overall day-to-day activities.
So our ATS is Lever. We've been with Lever for about a year. It's been a great partnership. We ended up going with Lever because of the UI. It's a really clean and beautiful UI. It's candidate focused, so there's a lot of collaboration that happens on the platform, and so that's driven efficiency gains, like significant efficiency gains across our business. Within Lever, we've integrated with a couple of partners that helps streamline the process too, so it makes it a really, really clean and kind of easy transition from the recruiting experience to the onboarding. Integrated with Checker. Checker's our background check vendor, so that's integrated into Lever. We use UltiPro from an HRS standpoint. There's an integration there. So it's very seamless. We have, DocuSign for our offer letters. And so it's this really kind of high touch, really seamless, kind of easy, paperless experience that we provide our candidates into becoming employees.
Where did you come from? What ATS did you come from?
So I've used a number of them in my my lifetime in recruiting in the talent acquisition space, but here, previous to Lever, we were, right. I've used quite a few, Taleo, SuccessFactors, Greenhouse, JobBite. We were previously on JobBite here.
Gotcha. Okay. So last question as we wrap this up. I mean, what are the lessons learned from this whole onboarding experience? What kind of advice do you have for other employers out there thinking about improving theirs?
Yeah, I would say don't wait. Your employees represent a significant investment, and if you look at your budget, it's a significant line item there. And so to underinvest in your employees is a huge mistake, especially if it's something as critical as onboarding that can impact productivity and tenure of employees. So I would say don't wait. And I think, what we did here is a clear example of how all it takes is a little bit of creativity and support from your executive team to really believe in the ROI that you gain from onboarding and kind of humanizing that experience, and the fact that, hey, we're investing in people and people are what drive, they're the ones driving our business forward. So let's invest in that. It didn't take much. It was very low tech. It was kind of inexpensive, really, to do what we did. It was just a matter of investing the time. So I would encourage everyone to just go out and do it. Don't wait, don't hesitate. Think about your employees and your people, and what sort of experiences can help connect them to your brand, to your mission, and give them kind of more meaning behind their work.
All right. Well, great job with the new process, Johnny. I think it was fabulous and something more companies should do. So appreciate the time today. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Chris.
Tell everyone where to go find you online and how to connect with Hot Topic as well.
Yeah. Feel free to look at hottopic.com and boxlunch.com. Those are our two brands. If you're interested in checking out our career opportunities, you can check out workatht.com or workatboxlunch.com. And you can find me on Twitter at JohnnyBlue6 and LinkedIn as well.
All right. We'll link to you in the show notes as well. That'll do it for this edition of the RecTech Podcast. Thanks again to our sponsor, HireTool. And don't forget you subscribe to the show via iTunes, Google Play, SoundCloud, and Stitcher Radio. For social media shoutouts, please use the hashtag RecTech. Thanks for listening, and remember, always be recruiting.
Another episode of RecTech is in the books. Follow Chris on Twitter at Chris Russell or visit rectechmedia.com, where you can find the audio and links for this show on our blog. RecTech Media helps both HR tech firms and employers to get more clients or candidates through our consulting practice and online tools. So be sure to check out our sites like recruiting headlines, job fairing, and more to stay up to date on what's happening in recruiting. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you soon on the next episode of RecTech, the Recruiting Technology Podcast.